Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to properly mount and level a scope. If you are at all serious about having any type of precision rifle and doing things right, you definitely need some equipment to mount that scope. And those pieces of equipment are going to be a Wheeler leveling kit. You're going to need a torque wrench that measures in inch-pounds. That's also by Wheeler. And then you're going to need some bits for that torque wrench. So we'll go ahead and take you through the procedure here. And the goal is to do this quickly. I know a lot of the other videos out there on doing this are like 10-15 minutes long, so we'll try to get you through it quick. So let's go. Okay, the first step. Take your level from Wheeler. This also has a magnet in the bottom. It won't matter here because this Air Force Talon is aluminum, but you're going to find a flat spot on the receiver. On this gun, we're going to use the top rail, and we're going to get this situated here and get the gun so that it is level, okay? So that's step one, very easy. Okay, so now that we have this centered on the back, we're going to take our reference point from Wheeler and we're going to mount it to the front. So these are meant for putting on a barrel, but since the Air Force has an extruded aluminum receiver that has rails on the top and bottom, it kind of gets in the way here. Luckily, I have a round knurled end cap protector that's going to basically be round and allow for an easier mounting point. So I'm going to put this on there and then basically get it as level as you can when you initially mount it. And then with this adjustment screw, you can adjust to get that bubble exactly centered where it matches the rear one. So pretty simple process. We'll go ahead and do that. You want to make sure it's really tight on there so it's not going to move, because you're going to move the rifle around and stuff while you're mounting your scope. So now I'm going to rotate this rifle. I'm going to make sure that rear is exactly centered. Make sure it's square. Okay, and then basically I'm going to, my bubble is a little bit over to this way, so I'm going to screw down on that screw and that'll move that bubble a little bit over to get it centered between those two lines. And I'm very meticulous about this, so off camera I'll make sure it's completely perfect, but that's the basic procedure. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I've got the front reference point exactly centered there. And if we move back to the rear, which we set first, that is also exactly centered there. One thing I failed to mention before is that having a bench rest like that Caldwell Matrix right there is really helpful for doing this kind of stuff. So as always, I'll drop links for everything that I use here in the comments. Some of those links help the channel, so if you purchase through those, I greatly appreciate you. Thanks. And we'll go and move on to the next step here. So just to reiterate that, set your rear level on the gun on a flat spot on the receiver, get it straight up and down level, bubble between those two lines exactly, match the front one to it, and that's it. So then the next step is actually mounting your scope. Okay, we're about ready to start mounting the actual scope. So what I've got is some BKL mounts, really nice, for dovetail rails. I'll drop a link in the comments for these, as well as this. These are on sale for 200 bucks right now, I think still. Normal, they're like 300, and that's still a super good deal because it is an FFP scope. So you're not going to find a first focal plane scope for cheaper than that. So I know I said I was going to put this on a 308, but I actually bought a different scope that I'm going to use for that because this one's a little bit shorter. So I'm going to use this for the Talon because I like to keep this thing sort of short. So we'll mount that and let's go through the steps. Okay, so the next step is you're going to loosely mount your scope in your rings and move it front to back to make sure that you have the proper eye relief for how you shoulder that rifle. So that'll take some time to make sure that you get that right. And then basically torque down your rings to your rail to the proper torque spec. These didn't have a torque spec with them. It gives you a little bit of instruction, but I'm going to crank them to about 20 inch-pounds. And then on the tops here, I'm going to go somewhere between 15 and 18. I'll probably settle at about 16 inch-pounds for these. And when you do that, when you tighten these down, you want to do a crisscross pattern. But first, the most important thing is, now that you've got your reference point set up front, you're going to take your rear reference point and you're going to put it on a flat spot on the scope. Luckily, this scope has a nice flat turret, so we're going to put it on there. And you're basically just going to make sure you have this completely level again, matching that before you tighten it all down. And that's basically it. To go through all the steps again, place the rear level on the back of the receiver, set your front reference to that, mount the scope, button down your rings to the rail, get it level on top here, and then just tighten down everything to spec and in the right pattern, and you're good to go. So that's going to do it, and that's basically how you mount a scope. I like to use my guide gear blood finding light to kind of give a little bit of perspective to make sure everything's evened up. So there's the front reference point, looks very extremely good, and here's the rear one, also very extremely good, and these are all torqued down, so we are done. So that is how you mount a scope in a few easy steps with a few easy tools. Again, links for everything I used here will be in the comments. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys, and have a great day. Cheers.